Hello friends, welcome. And in this video, we'll be discussing the meaning of health psychology. Now let us start with the definition of health psychology. Dear friends, the most widely accepted and comprehensive definition was given by the Joseph Matarazzo in the 1980s. This definition says that health psychology is the aggregate of the specific educational, scientific, and professional contributions of the discipline of psychology to the promotion and maintenance of health, the prevention and treatment of illness, the identification of etiologic diagnostic correlates of health, illness, and related dysfunction, and to the analysis and improvement of healthcare system and health policy formation. I know you'll find this definition is full of technical words and little bit lengthy, and it becomes a little bit difficult for the students to memorize this definition. So my request, never mug up or wrote this definition. The only point is you must understand this definition completely. And after my explanation, you will agree with me that you can easily remember this definition. Clear why I took this definition? Because this definition is comprehensive, most included every aspect of health psychology. So we'll break up this definition into three separate parts and we'll explain each part threadbare. Okay, let us start. The first point is it is the aggregate of specific educational, scientific, and professional contribution of psychology. For what? To the promotion and maintenance of health and prevention and treatment of illness. So, this way, health psychology contributes through three channels. The first channel is educational channel, scientific channel, and professional channel. For what? Psychology contributes via the channels for maintenance and promotion of health, prevention and treatment of illness. This is the first part. Second part is the identification of etiologic, diagnostic correlates of health, illness and related dysfunction. What is that? Etiologic diagnostic correlates means the causes or the factors that leads to the health or that leads to the illness. So psychology, particularly health psychology, focuses upon finding out the causes, health and illness too. So causes will be different, but the idea is to find out that causes and other related dysfunctions. That may be psychological dysfunction or that may be physical dysfunction. This was the second part. The third part is to the analysis and improvement of healthcare system and health policy formation. Means the present healthcare system of a state or a nation is being analyzed by the health psychology, or health psychology helps in analysis of the present day healthcare system, the way it functions, what is its success rate, where it lacks, what are its strengths, and it also contributes in formation of health policy for a nation. So I think now it's clear to you this definition. If you break up into three parts and clearly and with full perceptible ability, if you read and analyze each word, you will remember this definition and appreciate that this is a wide and comprehensive definition that covers almost each aspect of health psychology. Introduction come meaning. The definition has almost clarified lots of aspects related to health psychology. Still, we need a little bit of introductory part. Psychology became an independent discipline in 1978, and Joseph Matarazzo contributed significantly in promoting this field as a separate field of study. This branch of psychology focuses upon the role of psychological factors in the development, prevention, and treatment of illness. Along with that, it also has its role in maintenance of health. It studies the psychological and behavioral processes in health and illness and concerned with the understanding how psychological, behavioral, and cultural factors contribute to physical health as well as the psychological health. So the objective of health psychology is studying the correlates of health. Correlates come from various fields: psychological field, behavioral field, social field, cultural field. These correlates are being studied and the best outcome is being gleaned from that correlates. Maintenance of health and prevention and treatment of illness. So that has to be in both the aspects, that is psychological health also and physical health also. The scope of health psychology includes studying stress and coping. The stress is the biggest silent killer in modern times. People experience stress, but their experience level differs. Some people get easily stressful, whereas some take it little bit more time, or they have more resilience or more coping ability. Psychology tries to find out why this stress is the biggest cause of physical illness, psychological illness, and how some people are successful in coping up this stress. What is their behavioral traits that lead to the coping up, and where some people get easily demotivated with small life incident that lead to the higher level of stress. And if a persistent stress is being experienced by an individual for longer period of time, that leads to the biological and organic imbalance in the body, leading to physical illness. It also studies the relationship between psychological factors and health. Then patient-doctor relationship and ways of promoting health, enhancing factor, etc. Here the one point that needs little bit explanation is the patient-doctor relationship. This is a very important factor as far as the health is concerned. The relationship between a doctor and a patient has to be of optimal style, where recovery time is minimized and the dependency for treatment of illness on the external components is also minimized. Psychology also studies and contributes in this field. The major focus of health psychology is understanding the physical illness from the perspective of psychological theories, principles, laws, and research findings. Because the psychological principles, psychological theories also helps why that particular illness occurs. There's a direct relationship between physical illness and psychological factors. Sometimes psychological factors or psychological variables leads to the physical illness. Physical illness also leads to the deterioration of the psychological health. So they are interlinked, correlated significantly, positively, and strongly with each other. So psychology, particularly health psychology, studies this also. This is an interdisciplinary field which comes under the umbrella of applied psychology. Interdisciplinary means it gleans various facts, various figures, various findings of other fields, and then it come out with its own unique solution. And by and large, it is the subdomain of applied psychology. Health psychology undertakes a biopsychosocial approach to understand health. It takes three approaches: biological approach, psychological approach, and social approach. For what? Understanding the health. This branch assumes that health is not the outcome of only biological factors, psychological factors, or the social factors. So what are the biological factors that lead to illness, that is viruses, tumors, injury, or decay, or lesion, etc., etc. Then psychological factors, thoughts and beliefs, your thinking style, your way you believe in something. Either you are optimistic or pessimistic, either you have positivism or negativism. These are the psychological factors. Then come the behavioral factors. What are your habits, your perspective? Then your social factors, socio-economic status, ethnicity, race, your geographical location, your cultural traditions, etc. and etc. These all fields combined together contribute in health and similarly in illness too. So this is the approach health psychology assumes. Then a simple definition of health psychology that was given by the Carlson et al. They say that health psychology is the branch of psychology that applies psychological principles, theories to the understanding of health and illness. This is the simplest definition. I started my discussion with typical definition, and introduction come meaning is being ended by a simplest definition of health psychology. Now, subfields of health psychology. There are 4 subdomains, that is clinical health psychology, public health psychology, community health psychology, and critical health psychology. So we'll be discussing these subdomains in little bit brief. Clinical health psychology. It is the application of scientific knowledge, principles, theories that has been derived from the field of health psychology to the clinical problems which leads to the clinical outcomes. Clinical practices includes education, the technique of behavior modification, and psychotherapy, where behavior of the patient is modified, where the client is given with appropriate psychotherapy. So that comes under the domain of clinical health psychology. The second one is the public health psychology. So it is a population oriented approach, and its aim is to investigate the potential causal links between psychosocial factors and health at the population level in order to promote better public health. So idea of public health psychology is to promote the public health. Here, one particular population is being studied for its causal links that leads to health or illness. For example, we take a particular population according to geographic location, and we study why that particular population is healthy. What are the contributory factors? And if you take another population that they face more illness and regular illness, so what are the causal links? So in this way, the particular population is studied, and the causal links, that may be your social factors, cultural factors, psychological factors, or their behavioral factors, habits, and everything that may contributing in their own respective areas. So this field particularly focus upon the maintenance of the public health. Then community health psychology. What is community? Coming together for a common cause. You will find people live in different communities. Some are based upon race, some are based upon ethnicity, some are based upon religion, some are based upon principle or ideology. So the point here is community health psychology studies that community, what are the causal factors, what are their practices. So here the focus is particular community, selected community. Sometimes these communities are successful in developing their own interventions, their own techniques that helps in maintaining their health. There's a great example of Hunza Valley. Hunza Valley is situated in the Himalayas. People of Hunza Valley do not have a doctor in their community. They do not know the names of diseases. No one has even suffered any kind of disease in the last 100 years. There are no hospital, there are no police. Hunza Valley forms a good example of a community where their living style, their behavioral style, their habits are studied and found out what their specialty is. Then, what is critical health psychology? It studies the correlates of health that arise due to the differentiation between the powers. Powers may be administrative one, may be socio-economic one, or other types. When there is a distribution of power between the people, the impact of power differential on health experience is being studied in critical health psychology. It's a very interesting topic. How that power distribution influences the health of individual, how that power distribution impacts the healthcare system, health policy of a nation. So it prioritizes social justice and universal right to health for all. For all means people of all ages, all genders, all races, ethnicity, all geographical locations. Everyone must have access to good health. And the idea behind or the major focus of critical health psychology is the addressing health inequalities, how that inequalities can be addressed. So that field is studied by the critical health psychology. Dear friends, here we end today's discussion. These are my references. To gain the deeper insight into the meaning of health psychology, you must refer them. Our next lecture or discussion will be scope of health psychology. Till that time, if you like the contents of this video, tell to others. But if you have some issues, share with me. Just drop a comment in my comment box, or you can drop me an email at varmasujit@yahoo.com. Till the time, dear friends, bye bye.